Hey guys, it's Amanda and Barron with Kickin'Cancer Cares, and we are back again for our second segment. And our sponsor for this one is Marianne McNally. She is with Next Home Realty Connection. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or just not sure where to start and need to make sure all your ducks are in a row, give her a call at 503-409-4389.
Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit
Okay.
on the next half because all of us needed a tissue towards the end of that one. We need to get our tissue box back in here,
We
by the way. I
do.
noticed
You
that.
are right.
Well, part of the reason I want to shift gears is I really want to get into Dr. Sherrie Davis's personal story.
Okay.
But kind of what she's doing, and it'll all tie together here real quick.
Awesome.
But I'm going to go back to a book that I've referenced in the past.
Oh, yes. Chris Beats Cancer.
Chris Beat Cancer. Are you familiar with Chris' work? Yeah. So there's one of these chapters, and I just think this is such a great statement, Amanda. The chapter is actually called "Making a Killing,"
Okay.
and we won't get heavily into the chapter because there's just so much in here. But it's the quote at the start that I think is so interesting. So the quote is from Dr. Andrew Saul, and anyone who looks him up, many people who are in this community know who Dr. Andrew Saul is, and what he says is, good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
Correct.
And
Yep.
welcome to Kickin'Cancer's world, right?
Yep.
And it gets into a very interesting history of the pharmaceutical industry. Just real quick recap on what happened. It was 1897, and there was a scientist at Bayer that was trying to figure out how he could synthetically reproduce the chemical that's in willow bark, because willow bark reduces pain.
Okay.
Now, what I find so intriguing about all that is if you go through the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, all of that time period, you had all of these Native Americans that live all over the United States. It was their land, and they didn't have pharmaceutical companies. They had trees
Right.
and grass, and they knew what to do to treat pain. Willow bark,
Yeah.
you know? Except the scientist thought, well, how can I synthetically recreate that? And he did. It's called acetaminophen.
Okay.
Thus was the birth of the pharmaceutical industry.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
And now it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Yes.
But the part that I want to bring up in here is, well, twofold. One, the United States is now the most heavily medicated nation in the world.
I believe it. Sad.
Yeah, the number
true.
of prescriptions written for painkillers nearly tripled from 1990 to 2010. There were 209.5 million painkiller prescriptions written in 2010 alone.
That's insane.
209.5 million prescriptions written. And so we have just become a nation that goes, oh, we have a problem? There's a drug for that.
Got a pill for that.
Yeah. And what's sad is you can see it on the ads on TV. There's so many pills for this situation, and they even tell you you have this situation because of this problem. So we gave you a drug for this problem, which created a new problem. We have a drug for the new problem, which could create a third problem.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's when those years are when I got into my addiction with that. So that's
The
interesting.
1990, 2010.
2010.
Yeah. It go since you brought that up. The number of unintentional overdoses had quadrupled during that time period.
Shocking.
Prescription drug reactions are the seventh leading cause of death in the United States, killing 100,000 people a year.
That's
Prescription
bizarre.
drug reactions.
Wow.
So we have this scientist who says, how can I synthetically reproduce a painkiller? And they create this little tablet that helps you with pain, acetaminophen. And now we have all of these drugs. But what I really find intriguing in this is it talks about that for the better part of the last century, so 1900, 2000, that century, the pharmaceutical industry enjoyed a monopoly on medicine and the public trust. But over the last 2 decades, 2000 until now, the rise of the internet and the widespread access to information has led to a, quote, collective consciousness of the pitfalls and perils of conventional medicine,
Okay.
and to a resurgence in the interest in and use of nutrition and natural, non-toxic therapies for healing and preventing disease. In response to the natural health movement, they're actually calling this a natural health movement.
I love that.
Yeah.
In response to that, pharmaceutical-based medicine is now being rebranded as science-based medicine or evidence-based medicine. So knowing that they were losing their grip on the public, they rebranded themselves. We are the evidence-based method.
Right.
Except because
Yeah.
the internet, we can get on the internet and we can look up some stuff. Well, what we really didn't get into too heavily in the introductions is what type of a doctor are you, Dr. Sherrie?
Yeah, so I'm a naturopathic doctor and I have a PhD in psychology. And so I do behavioral health therapy along with the naturopathic treatments. My specialty is in kinesiology as well. So what patients will do is they'll bring me in all their herbs and hundreds of medications that they're taking, and I'll do kinesiology, which is muscle testing, to make sure that what they are taking is actually being effective, and is there anything counter reacting each other, or there are things that they actually need. Sometimes they even, not only is there a problem with overprescription, but there's also a problem with patients taking supplements they either don't need or too much. And so sometimes we face that, where you have to kind of balance that out for them, because our body can only tolerate so much of the vitamin or mineral, but also it can also have a counter reaction to a drug. And so basically I take a look at that, and then I own Northwest Hypnosis and Integrated Medicine. So sometimes I'm doing clinical hypnotherapy for behavioral issues that could also be contributed to their problems that they're facing, but also the stressors that they have with what condition that they have.
Yeah.
And so there's so many different parts of the therapy, and I go pretty deep into the treatments, pretty detailed. The first appointment's like a 2-hour appointment. So I'm spending some quite lengthy time with the patient, reviewing and going through, and I always tell them, make sure you block out that window. Sometimes it can be a little longer if I have the time. But just the detail of the treatment between the kinesiology, nutritional therapy, the behavioral part of it as well. And I do a treatment called emotional code release therapy, which helps to identify what emotions are trapped or hidden in their body, and what is it contributing to, and is it contributing back to something that they've inherited as well. And so I can go pretty deep on a lot of different layers of things that I do, because there's a lot that's involved. And I also have a clinical ozone steam sauna in my clinic, and it helps to also with the eradication of viruses, cancer activity, mitigating the activity, slowing it down, helping the immune antibodies boost up and function better, and increase oxygenation to the blood cells and the organs and muscles.
Okay, wow.
Dramatically
Fascinating,
different
right?
than your
Yeah.
typical medicine, isn't it?
Well, and I
Yes.
think what I love most is that you do block, the 2 hours, because when you
Yes.
walk into a doctor's office, you're in and out. They know nothing about you. They've hardly diagnosed you. They give you a prescription and send you on your way, knowing that it's probably not even going to work. And so the fact that you take time to actually dive into everything much deeper, that's huge, because you can learn so much more by just listening to your patients.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I write up a whole sheet of things for them, and mark, on their bottles of what they're taking, how much they should be taking, what time of day should they be taking it, because they could be taking a supplement that should really be taken at night instead of during the day. Like I see
Right.
that a lot, or vice versa, or maybe not taking it at all.
Right.
They're called
Okay.
supplements for a reason.
Right.
Yes, exactly. But
Well,
the
go ahead.
supplements that I get are specifically geared around treating disease and conditions in the body. They're not just what we consider a vitamin. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, I saw this on a commercial and it sounded so good, so I bought it. And I find out after we do the kinesiology that maybe the product wasn't so good after all.
Yeah.
And, they really need to do a little more research, because I find that, a lot of these off-brand things, and I hate to knock down anybody's brand, but there's stuff, if they don't look at the other ingredients, which can be just like a huge list of other ingredients, so you're really not getting what the bottle is labeled to have, or maybe it's stuff that would have a chemical in it that isn't good for you.
Yeah.
Or something they're allergic to.
Remember in the first half of the show, right early on, as we were talking to Mikki about what was going on within Vancouver. And it was a phrase that she told me, actually it was when we were on the show early this year, that she wanted to create go-to teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, meet one of Mikki's go-to teams. So tell the listeners again, what exactly is your concept of a go-to team?
Well, so the Go team is when we raise money or we rally behind somebody that has cancer, which is awesome. But my vision is always helping people get and stay well. So rather than, here's a check for, $3,000 or $5,000, what I wanted to do was create sort of a directory of people that could actually help you heal your body and that would educate you on what to do to live your best life and stay and be healthy and vibrant. And when I met Dr. Sherrie, I was like, oh, I'm keeping you. She is amazing. Just so intuitive and insightful that I'm like, I need you on my go-to team. She's like, what the heck's a go-to team? Well, a go-to team is somebody that you go to when maybe you have cancer, or even better, don't want to get cancer,
right?
Because the statistics are terrifying. Finding people that don't want to get cancer it's way more better, to not get something than it's not as sexy, like, oh, I reversed it. But
be proactive.
Anyway, to find people that help you help your body, that help you heal yourself, because really the power is yours. So my theme song is to help people take their power back. Well, to have people in our arsenal that are like-minded, that aren't just, here's a pill so that I could make a bunch of money, that actually give you the care that you need, that listen, that are looking to help you get your power back.
Well, one of the things I think that, and I want to make sure we have time for this, as I was talking to Dr. Sherrie on the phone, getting ready for this interview, well, two things we're seeing. We're about the same age, and we went to high school about 30 miles apart, which was just so funny. I went to Hermiston, she went to Pendleton. They're about 30 miles apart. That was just like, what? But the bigger thing is, and I think it's part of your mission, part of your journey, part of your passion is... You've battled through cancer 4 times.
I have, yeah.
Oh, wow.
4 times.
I did.
You want to share some of that with us?
Yeah, so when I was 26 years old, I had a huge tumor removed from one of my fallopian tubes, and I actually almost died during that procedure. And I did die, and they had to recover me, and come back. And it was such an interesting experience. I really didn't want to come back. Once you leave your body, it's like such a magical, beautiful place, and you're no longer suffering. But then when I did come back, it was really interesting because the creator was like, nope, you got a purpose. You still have stuff to do.
You're not done.
You're not done yet. You're going back. You're going to be one of those chosen ones that gets sent back. It wasn't exactly the greatest experience coming back, but it was okay. I made it through it. But then when I was 36 years old, so I go from 26 and into 36, end up with uterine and ovarian cancer. One of my ovaries and then my uterus and cervix. So did a hysterectomy. Now, mind you, during all this process, not once did I ever do chemo, nor did I do radiation or any type of Western medicine geared drug.
Okay.
Just the surgery. And so, I always say, we have our pros and cons on both sides of the medicine. There's good parts, there's bad parts, on everything. But then we also have our limitations. And so on each side of the spectrum of medicine. But then, about, I was 43, I think it was 43, 45. There was all these gaps of time, when, okay, now I'm clear and free of cancer. I no longer have anything. I'm feeling great. And let me tell you, the first time, that it happened, I was in my top best shape. When I was younger, I worked out like a mad dog. I took care of myself. I ate good. I was actually a vegetarian. And, and I really had the education at that time. When I was 36, I was going to naturopath school. So I kind of was in the middle, about 2 years in, into my education of that. So I really kind of just was going through that spectrum of, figuring out there were other ways that we could heal our body. And the biggest thing for me was being able to prevent myself from having cancer, because I watched my grandmother die from cancer and the horrifying radiation and chemo treatments that she had, and how it basically killed her, and she got worse and sicker, and it didn't help her. And so then, in my 40s again, getting it was another type of cancer that appeared in the vaginal cell wall area, which sometimes can appear with women who have uterine cancer or ovarian cancer. They can get it there too. So then basically what I did was I treated it with my ozone treatments, killed it off. It's like, here, I'm going to do ozone 3 times a week, and do the vaginal insufflation of ozone, and then do the vitamin C IVs and boost my antibodies back up again and my immune cells with all the naturopathic treatments. And then within a few months, it's gone.
Wow.
It just kind of
cool.
disappeared, right? No longer existing. But then about 2 years ago, then I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma cancer, and I had a spot on my side that appeared, and I didn't know what it was, so I went in, had it checked. But then what they didn't check, and this is what I really get frustrated with, is the failure that we have of our Western medicine system. But we have that within Eastern medicine as well in some cases, if a practitioner doesn't take their time or be thorough with the patient and really listen. It's a big key of the part of medicine in any spectrum of it. And me being a naturopath and going into a Western medicine doctor, it's like, they look at me like I'm an alien with horns sticking out or something. It's like, who are you? Why are you here? But what I found, what so many patients also tell me over and over, is how much their Western medicine doctor has failed them. They've overlooked things, or they don't really get into the full spectrum detail of the testing that needs to be done.
Yes.
And that happened to me a couple of times. And so, but because of my background and my, educational background of that, and being specialized in the first 5 years of my practice, I specialized in cancer therapy. And I worked with another practitioner that's also a naturopath doc that does IV therapies for cancer. He's an oncologist.
Okay.
And so that's what I specialized in the whole 5-6 years in the beginning of my practice. But then when I was diagnosed with the squamous cell carcinoma cancer, I knew right away where it actually came from, and that it wasn't just on the skin, and that it was deeper and more internal, and not so much what they were trying to say. And they were actually avoiding and trying to tell me, oh, no, it couldn't possibly be in your breast. And I got really mad at the doctor, and I said, yes, it is. I know my body, and I need to, and if anybody knows our body, it's you, right?
Yeah,
you're going to feel it. You're going to know it. Your intuition is going to tell you spot on what you have. You just have to listen. And so I went to Dr. Conway, my friend who I worked for. And I was like, I want this test, this test, this test. And he tested me for all these things, and boom, there it was in the ductal area of the breast.
Wow.
Which, that's where it started. Okay, a lot of times people don't realize a lot of times the secondary cancers, when it appears on the skin, is actually internal first. It's not external.
Yeah.
It'll show up later externally, like my grandmother, who ended up having the skin cancer. But guess what? Her doctors told her, oh, no, you don't have cancer. You're 83. Okay, why are you having periods then at 83 years old?
Yeah.
Why do you have the pain that you have in the uteral area, right? They ignored it. 3 years later, she died of the cancer.
Wow.
So she was one of the reasons why I decided to get very passionate about, and why what I was going through at the time when I was diagnosed with uterine cancer, she was dying of that same exact cancer.
Wow.
And I saw her.
You said something, and I think that Amanda's probably picked this up.
Yes.
The whole time she's got really passionate about something, and you hear the passion in her voice.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right.
I think you're really passionate about listening to the patient
Yeah, very much.
to find out what the problem is. And we've mentioned this on the show before. This sounds really weird to say, but that the cancer is actually trying to save your life.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll just use the breast cancer as an example, because my sister has breast cancer.
Yeah.
It took years for that area to be encapsulated enough for them to see the tumor. Except, what's going on deeper in the body?
Yeah.
And so the typical approach is you go in, you cut the tumor out, and everything's done. No, it's not done, because your body is telling you something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
And you said, it's not the skin, it's not the squamous cell, it's something deeper. And you had to fight your doctors to get them to listen.
Yes,
but
very much.
but your intuition was telling you that there's something deeper in there.
Oh, very much. And, and I kind of did a lot of research on this over time, treating patients myself that have cancer. And I found what was very interesting was environmental areas, like where did I grow up? Between Hermiston and Pendleton, it's toxic world over there, between the Hanford chemical toxicities in the water and the soil, and then the Army Depot who burned all those nerve gases. Right? So that area is like highly toxic with heavy metals, toxins, poisons, not only in the water. But think about this too. Okay, my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, myself, my sister, great-grandmother, all had cancer.
Really?
Okay, think of it all being in one entire environment, right? So as I did the research, and at the time that I was going through the uterine cancer, I was seeing another naturopath who was also an MD out in the Tri-Cities where I was living at that time. And he was doing research, and he had all these patients that he had all the labs, the blood work, I was one of them, that showed high uranium levels that were so off the chart that he said to me, I'm surprised you're alive and that you're walking into my office. And the only reason I was alive is because I did so many herbs and detoxing and building my immune system with the naturopathic treatments. I really think if I wasn't doing that, I would be dead.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, that was
Right.
just ignoring it or not doing the treatments I was doing.
Well, one thing I do want to make sure that we give our listeners, we're going to run out of time otherwise. Both you ladies are from Vancouver. Mikki, how does someone get a hold of you? How would one of our listeners get a hold of you?
You can go to, I'm going to give my vibranthealthwellnesscenter.com. Just fill out the form there. It's got all my contact information, and I will get right back to you.
And Dr. Sherrie, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, and you can find my website at www.nw, as in Nancy William, hypnosis.net, or they can reach me at 360-991-2619.
There's actually a link to your website on my
Yes,
website,
there
because she
is.
works at our clinic as well. She has
Perfect.
2 locations.
And if you're watching YouTube, I guarantee you right now it's scrolling right along. Ashley is putting that information for you to watch on the
you
YouTube.
can, if you don't remember all that, I am yourwaterlady@gmail.com.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. But I did, there's a really, I'm going to skip our timeline item because there's a really interesting story that Mikki shared with me that I think is so appropriate for what's happening. And it's a story of 100 monkeys. So share the story of the 100 monkeys, because it's happening.
It's
100
happening.
monkeys is happening.
It's so exciting. So they did a study of monkeys. I know it sounds crazy, but they did a study of monkeys, and they taught monkeys how to wash their sweet potatoes. And the monkeys were like, oh, sweet potatoes taste better without dirt on them. Crazy, right? And what happened next was that one monkey was teaching another monkey, And so all these monkeys were washing their sweet potatoes. And when it reached more than 100 monkeys, something phenomenal happened. Was they found out that recognized that monkeys on other continents were washing their sweet potatoes.
No way.
Wait.
No one taught the monkeys on the other continent.
It was
That's
collective consciousness,
So going back to the
right?
very
It's
start,
quantum physics.
It's what he says. There's a collective consciousness that
Yes.
is occurring because we're done with pharmaceuticals.
right.
And this collective consciousness connected me to Mikki, who connected me to
Yeah.
Dr. Sherrie. the
It's a
monkeys
higher-
on the other continent figured out how to watch. That's
That's
interesting.
crazy.
There is only one mind. We are all connected.
Yes.
Just like I was
Yes,
thinking
we are.
of Dr. Sherrie when she was talking about, it's a holistic. It's the whole picture. It's your environment. It's who you
Yeah.
hang around. It's your thought
Oh, yeah.
process.
It
it's
really
it's
is.
all of
What
it.
you're putting in your body.
And the more we do this, the more people that are going to get help.
I love
true.
that. What a cool
Right.
story
Isn't
to
that
put that
fun?
into perspective like
Isn't that fun?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Okay, well, we are about out of time, so I'm going to give it. Thank you both for coming and joining
Thank you
us.
for
I
having
love
us.
all of
Thank
your guys'
you.
information, stories, and everything. So thank you. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Marianne McNally, who is a residential real estate specialist with Next Home Realty Connection. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, need to get all your ducks in a row, or just have questions on what that may look like, or if you even qualify, or if you have steps to do, give her a call. Her number is 503-409-4389, and we'll be back next week
As the movement continues.